Have a great, amazing Monday. This is an awesome time. We are having an AMA today on a collaboration with the GemPad launchpad. It is a pleasure to be hosting such a project and here with our Tayarra HUB. So guys, just a bit of the background story. As we are approaching the launch, we are kind of waiting for the market to be really stable, and we are meanwhile building the real community, getting some network behind. So we are good relations with the GemPad in the future when we will be ready for launch. Well, this is kind of an introduction for the background story and the relations between the parties. And once again, I would love to welcome the GemPad team, the Morty from the GemPad. And I think, Morty, could you introduce yourselves, your role in the GemPad? Let's kickstart this AMA.
First of all, thank you for having me. And I want to say hello to everyone listening today. So my name's Morty. I am one of the co-founders of GemPad. My role is basically marketing, and I also do a lot of I do all the AMAs. So usually when we're doing AMAs in other groups, I'm the one talking. Sometimes I host them as well, but usually that's Ringland. What I'll do is I'll quickly introduce the rest of the team. So there's 6 people in the core team. There's Red, who is in charge of the dev team. There's Niall and Coffee Beana, who are in charge of listings. There's Rainland, who I already mentioned, who hosts the AMAs. He also does the KYCs. And he also does the announcements and Twitter as well. And then we have Minx, who's the graphic designer, and then obviously myself being the 6th person. We also have a dev team of 4, which are kind of separate to the team that Red manages. And the reason they're kind of separate, and it's better this way, we employ them to actually work. So the problem we found in crypto, just in experience, is if you kind of go and find a dev and say, oh, can you build this for me? In crypto, they charge a lot, whereas this is much more cost effective. We also recently took on 2 new members. So we have Towie and we have Dennis. And we have known Towie a long time, almost as long as the rest of the team. He's from the same private group that the team met. And then Dennis, it was one of our first supporters. And he's been there the whole time. At the start, he was asking to kind of get involved. We kind of let him help out in the development portal, and then eventually we put him on the actual team. So those 2 are helping with listings just because there's so many. And I have to say we're very, very lucky to have gotten them, because the biggest thing is the 6 of us, the 6 original core team members, we work somewhere between 10 to 16 hours a day, and we realized not everyone will want to do that, so we were kind of nervous about getting on anyone else, but we're very happy and lucky to say that the 2 lads are amazing. And to be honest, sometimes they nearly outwork us. They're active the whole time. It's great.
Great. So as you are a co-founder, maybe could you introduce the whole idea? Like, when did you start the GemPads, and like how the idea came on the table? Really, it's some interesting story to be heard.
Yeah. So basically, the 6 of us, we're all traders. We have been trading. Some of us over a year, some of us nearly 3 years. But mainly in BSC was kind of maybe the end of March was kind of when I got into it, maybe February. And we met there over a year ago. So we were trading together for over a year. And we kind of noticed that on all the launch pads that were out there, there was issues with them. So whether it was maybe the tech was a bit outdated, or maybe it was that they didn't really have the best intentions or the best team, or kind of one of the biggest thing was taking tokens and dumping tokens. And we just felt that not only could we do it better, we could do it fair. And we had so many ideas, like along the way, we'd be like, oh, it'd be really good if they just did this. So we'd add little things. So if you go on to GemPad itself, you'll see small things like the alarms and the 24-hour delay, just to kind of make things easier and safer. And that's kind of where GemPad came from. We just, as I said, we just felt that we could just do it better, and fair being the main thing, because we felt that a lot of the launch pads out there were good, but they hadn't really improved on anything in the months they were active. So when you look at the top ones, once they kind of got to the top, development almost stopped because they were happy they were the top. They didn't need to do anymore. And we just felt that there's just so much things we can add. And you can see, like, with all the updates we bring out, it's always something new and unheard of. But I'm sure we'll get onto that later.
Yeah, great. So as I'm hearing that, how are you running the GemPad? Like, is it like legitimate legal company, or how do you run the GemPad?
So at the moment, it is not a registered company as of yet, but it is in our plans. We just haven't got to it yet because there's been other things in the way, but we will do it. And because not only is it because we are a company, we're not a launchpad that wants to be here for a month or two and make our money and leave. We're going to be here for years. And one of the main steps is becoming a company. And we just kind of have to decide what way we're doing it and what country it's based in as well. Because the team is from different parts of the world. So we have Irish and Slovenian and among other things. So we just kind of have to pick a few different things. But we will eventually. And it does help with the legitimacy of GemPad itself being an actual registered company.
Great. I mean, is this your first crypto experience at all, or were you kind of engaged in the projects before?
Yeah, so I started off just modding in projects. So when I kind of first started off trading, I found that was good because I wanted to learn, I wanted to get involved. And by starting off modding, that was kind of how it helped me get along. And then eventually when it came to kind of meeting Red, and I even actually I was in the process of building one of my own projects called Alpha. And we'd started kind of development and even had private for it. In the end, we gave it all back because we wanted to actually keep Alpha to be part of GemPad is what we decided in the end. But that's still in the works kind of. But yeah, we've all, like, and Red specifically has helped a lot of crypto projects. So a lot of times when we'd be trading and they wouldn't be able to launch, we'd send Red in to go and talk to the owners and the devs, and we were just like, well, Red, to be honest, we should just do our own project because, especially a launchpad, because he was helping so many finalize and launch anyway. He might as well be getting paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be kind of a bit of out of the scheme right now for the questions, but like, why did you launch Launchpad, or why did you choose over to start up the project that's Launchpad?
Why did we choose to make a Launchpad?
Yeah, like, why not some gamify project? There are some like niches and schemes that we can use, but Launchpad is an interesting idea.
Yeah, well, you see, it goes back to that. It was just what was needed. Like, I really do think, especially with what Red has built, and especially with Minx, the graphic designer as well, and the entire team, to be honest, I think we would have done well no matter what we built. But I feel that a launchpad was really needed in the space, and I felt that we all felt that we could do it well and we could do it fair. And we also had a lot of different ideas. So, like, one of the biggest ones was stealth launches, which we recently brought out. So you can now launch a stealth launch through us, making it safer and fair. Like the first one went 54x. So we just have loads of different ideas like that. A lot of them released and some of them not released, which, like, we know what they are and we have plans and timelines for them, but we're not saying it publicly just yet. But yeah, so like that was mainly it. We just felt that we could do it well, and especially involving the community in it as well. We felt a lot of launchpads don't involve the community, and you see, part of the beauty of crypto is the kind of decentralization of it, that no one kind of in control with crypto, and that's kind of why we wanted to build our launchpad with the community in mind. So look, realistically, we are going to have to make a final decision on a lot of things, but we try and involve the community in a lot of our decisions as well. And even sometimes, like, when we get feedback, even if it's against what we think, we'll actually just pick what the community wants. So an example of that is emergency withdrawal. We didn't want to add it because it's bad for projects, because sometimes if they're slow fill, they just won't fill with emergency withdrawal. And it's also bad for people that we were afraid that people might get in the habit of just buying in and then researching afterwards, because they can always just emergency withdrawal, but then they're losing money. but it's what they wanted, so we added it, even though we didn't want to add it. But that's just kind of ways that, we felt that would be good and good for the space, not just the launchpad.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, we are kind of in touch, like really closely till I think past 2 months or maybe even more. But for the listeners, for the community, Morty, could you explain how did you guys launch the GemPad token? Like if you had some VCs, private pre-sale, or like if it was a fair launch,
Yeah. So what we did, and it's actually, we wanted to do things a little differently, because that was as well one of the issues we had when trading, is that we felt that there was a lot of projects, particularly launchpads, that would release their coin and then say, we're going to build a launchpad. Everyone would buy in, they'd be really hyped, and then the launchpad would take a month or even 3 months to come out. And then by then it's after dying down. And then you'd have to wait another month or two for even the project to come along. And we didn't want that our launchpad to be like that. So what we actually did is we had some money ourselves that we started development. We then eventually had a private round, and we had then a VC funded us as well called SIG. So we kind of basically had 2 privates, and we used that money to basically build and market the launchpad. So we actually had the launchpad itself go live in the end of January, start of February, I believe, and we had our first project in February. And then we didn't actually host our pre-sale till I think maybe 2 months ago. So we basically had a working launchpad like 2 or 3 months before our token came out. Because we felt, as again, we didn't want to promise stuff, we wanted to deliver. But it was also that when someone was buying in, they knew what they were buying in, because there was even projects there waiting for them, that they knew that, oh, well, look, I'm going to try to buy diamond at GemPad at launch because I see there's already like 2 or 3 diamonds I want to buy into. And we did get a lot of positive feedback, that a lot of people in the space told us they really liked that. Because again, it's just down to people knew what to expect, and there was already that trust built up as well, because we've been operating and working for months already.
Yeah, and that's like completely true. Like I don't know if you guys from our farm are kind of familiar with the launchpads and how they do in this kind of market. Like usually the launchpads are kind of getting screwed because not a lot of the launches are kind of necessary, or they won't do that many X's in bear market like in the bull market. So the communities are kind of toxic. But GemPad community, this is something else. So I want to just pinpoint that the GemPad community out there is something that's really been a gem in this kind of situation. So if we touched on how did you launch, let's talk from the view of investor holder. How is the token utilized in the whole ecosystem of GemPad?
Okay, so there's a few different kind of use cases behind the token itself. The main one is obviously holding it to get into pre-sales. So we have tiers for projects and for holders. We can talk about the projects in a little bit, but for the holders, basically, if you're a gold holder, you will get into, and that's 50,000 gem tokens. So if you're gold, you get in a whitelist for gold pre-sales. If you're platinum, you get a whitelist spot for platinum and gold pre-sales. And if you're diamond, you get a whitelist for diamond, gold, and platinum. Also amongst the use cases, if you have over 50,000 gems, so that's gold and above, you can stake. So you can stake on our website. I believe last time I checked, the APY was 131%. So it's high enough that it's worthwhile while still being low enough that it's sustainable. Because as I said, it's not a case for not like a project that's going to have staking for a month or two. It's going to be there for years. And so that's why it's like that. We will also bring out other use cases. So we want to eventually bring out a DAO voting system where, like I said, we want to kind of give a lot of power to the community. So in this voting system, they'll be able to vote to pause pre-sales. They'll also be able to vote on stuff about the launchpad itself and even about the coin itself. So whether they want to change the tax, they'll be able to do that through the DAO voting. We also will possibly have supporting dApps. The reason I say possibly, we have 2 or 3 that are at different stage of development. Some of them are actually already built and just need an update. but they may never see the light of day simply because sometimes we have some kind of projects in mind, whether we're launching with them or partnering with them, that are doing similar things, and we don't really want to kind of get in their way. We'd rather just let them and partner with them and bring our community to them, because at the end of the day, a lot of the dApps are kind of to improve our community and improve the space in general. So if someone's already doing that, we'd rather just help them. So one example is Alpha Club, which is like a Rate My Influencer dApp, which you'll be able to go on and rate your favorite call channels, YouTubers, and stuff like that, even AMA groups and developers, audit companies, basically anything to do with crypto. You can rate them and you can leave comments as well. So that if you're new to crypto, you're looking for someone to follow, you'll be able to find the best ones or even avoid the botted ones. Also, if you're a project owner, you'll be able to easily find out where the best AMA tours are and stuff like that. Now, if you go on to our white paper, you'll actually see screenshots of the Alpha Club and even explaining about it. The thing about that is it's actually screenshots of the live dApp. They're not like graphics. They're actually, that's already built. It just needs an update. But as I said, it's not a complete priority right now. And the only reason it won't see the light of day is simply because if we partner with someone with something similar. But yeah, I really want that to come out because, as I said, it's actually something I came up with. Like, it's over a year old now. So I'm really hoping it comes out, but it might not, just because, as I said, we don't want to get in the way of someone else if someone else is doing something similar and with the right intentions.
Great. So if I'm a tier holder or if I'm about to be a tier holder, let's talk about the DeFi aspect. So like you guys got a staking available. So what is the format, fees? You know, is it flexible or not? Let's describe.
Well, for staking, there's no fees whatsoever. You can stake, and anyone above 50,000 gems, sorry, they can stake. There's no penalties or whatsoever. You just have to wait 24 hours. So once you stake, you just have to wait 24 hours. But there's no penalties for unstaking after that.
Great. So guys, if you are about to grab a tier, I think this is one of the best stakings, or at least in the matter of the fees, we've talked about it so far in the Tayarra HUB. So this is looking like very, very good. Watching the tier system, can we touch like what tiers I can get and how can I utilize them? So for example, if I am a diamond holder, how can I use that?
Yeah, so as say diamond holder, you'll be able to get a whitelist spot for all our diamond sales, platinum sales, and gold sales. So what that basically is, and what the tiers are, is when a project comes to us and want to launch with you. Some of them, if they're gold or common, they can just list. They don't have to talk to us whatsoever. For common, we don't have KYC and audits with them. If they're gold, they must have a KYC or an audit, but they can have both. It's up to them. Then there's platinum and diamond, and platinum and diamond actually have to reach certain requirements. So we basically vet the projects to make sure that they're going to do well, among other things of just being like safe as well. Now, at the end of the day, we're traders and we're making a judgment call, and we learn as we go. So if a project, say if a diamond doesn't do quite as well as we thought it would, we will look at why it didn't, and we'll add that to the requirements as well. So we are kind of learning as we go, but hopefully the tiers seem to be working quite well. Whereas the diamond projects tend to fill more often than not. And then even the thing about it is even some of the golds and commons still do well. Like I know we had a gold go nearly maybe 10x, if I remember right, and we had a common do 15x. So there is money to be made on all the tiers, but they just kind of they're vetted more at the top. But some people they don't need the platinum and diamond. They don't want it. They just want to be gold because they don't want to go through the vetting process, and that's okay too. And so there's still good projects down there.
Good. I think we touch very interesting thing and really important, and that's the vetting process. Morty, could you describe how to vet the project? Because this is very important.
Yeah, so when a project comes to us and say, now most of them, if they're aiming for a higher tier, they will aim for diamond. So they'll come to us and say, look, I'm trying to get to diamond. We have them fill out a form that basically asks them stuff like their hard cap, how much they have to advertise the pre-sale, what the liquidity percentage is going, what their anti-snipe at the start of at their launch is going to be, the use case, when the use case is going to be ready, and their marketing plan, and the actual use case itself as well. So when it's not a matter for diamond they have to have a use case. Platinum is allowed not have a use case if it's a very good team, but for diamond it has to be a good use case and it has to be nearly ready, just because in this market that's kind of what you have to be. Now the requirements, we do have a list of them and we do share it with projects, but they are, at the end of the day, it is a case-by-case basis where the team will decide. So sometimes it's an incredible team and maybe the use case isn't quite there, or but the team's just so good that it's okay, or that they're after getting such huge hype. But as I said, we do look back and see at the other projects that we had and see, okay, well, that was diamond and it didn't do as well as we thought, and why not? And we'll go back and we'll edit the requirements. So we've edited the requirements about 10 times already, just kind of adding things and just changing things around.
Yeah, this is very important because what's happening right now is launchpads are kind of dried out. And if they are willing to pick up even some projects without a good vetting process, it may lead up to a catastrophe where we can experience a rack or something like that. So for the users, and especially for the tier holders, which let's say are the most important part of the community, this is very good to hear. Before we will move to another theme, if I wanted to purchase right now the tier, is there any tax on buying or selling?
Yes, so there is 10% tax on buys, sells, and transfers. So that's broken down into 6% goes into the staking vault, 3% goes into the production wallet, and then 1% goes to liquidity. The reason it's on transfers, because some people asked about it, that they want it not on transfers, but the reason is simply because if someone buys in and then transfers the tokens, they get 2 tiers for the price of one, kind of thing. So that's why it's there. Now, however, sometimes there are people that come to us and say, look, I have 2 diamonds on the one wallet. Would I be able to transfer? And we'll say, yeah, we'll remove the transfer tax just so you can move it, because we don't want to penalize them. If they want to have 2 diamonds, encourage it. It's better than them selling it. And also another way, and this is actually what I plan to do myself, because you see, the thing is, the team didn't have team tokens. We all bought into the private sale ourselves. And I have been staking since launch. So the minute we launched, they started staking. And what I'm going to do is, as soon as I stake and have 2 diamonds, I'm going to we'll get rid of the transfer tax for a minute, just so I can transfer over. And then I'll have 2 diamonds on 2 wallets.
Yeah. And this is very important to mention, the team tokens. When we had the AMA with the Anti-Raggers United, these guys are crazy mad about all of the restrictions that developers should have, and really saying that you've purchased into the private and had no team tokens. This is something very important to add for the team, and especially for the trust. So kudos for that, guys. I love to hear that. Maybe now let's talk about the situation where a developer and wanted to approach your launchpad. So which services you are providing for the devs or the project owners, and for on the other hand for the tier holders. So which services the GemPad can offer?
Yeah, so first of all, we obviously have the normal. We can obviously host a pre-sale or a special sale. So a pre-sale can be a fair launch, or it can be just a normal pre-sale. The special sales I'll talk about in a little bit. But anyway, we can KYC. So our KYC process is basically, we have the person message a separate Telegram account just to keep them all in one place. They DM the KYC account and they send them a selfie with their ID in it. They then send a close-up of the ID back in front. We then go on to Zoom and we have a live Zoom call with them where obviously their camera is on. They say they show their ID. They state the full name of the project and the role in the project. Then they go on to, then they show that they have access to the employer wallet. So this ensures that they're a core member of the team, not just some paid actor. And then at the end, we have to read out a statement basically saying all they said is true. We also can connect people to audit companies. We also host AMAs ourselves. We also help with marketing. So if a project, because to be honest, a lot of marketers charge a lot for not a whole lot. And so we decided that we're going to start doing marketing as well. And so that's why we started that, because we have been called on Telegram by 90% of the best channels, if not more. We've had an AMA in pretty much everywhere, all the ones we wanted to anyway. So we it's not even a case where, oh, that looks good. It's like, well, this is good for us. This guy was good for us. And it helps that then when we're helping one project, if one person for some reason doesn't work out quite well, we know the next time that, okay, we shouldn't use that guy because for whatever reason, he's not as good as he used to be.
Sure.
And because of the sheer volume of projects, even the ones we don't help market, we kind of see who's helping them and who worked well for them and who didn't. But we will be having more services as well, but they're kind of the main ones for now.
Yeah, and I must agree, like sometimes you're paying as a project owner, or even like if you're helping with the marketing services, a ton for a service that's well, let's say its cost is like too much for what you are offering. So this is like also the whole idea behind the collaborations and why we started Tayarra HUB, because I were kind of pissed off at that. So yeah, like I completely so this was the services. I think we can touch also the sales you're capable of performing. So could you describe which kind of sales are you capable of performing, and a bit of a description on each of them?
Yeah, so the first sale that we have is obviously just a normal pre-sale that everyone's used to. There's a soft cap and a hard cap. We then have fair launches, which is basically the same thing, apart from there's no hard cap. We also have special sales. So special sales are private rounds, seed rounds, and partials. So basically partials are, so if a project wants to launch on multiple launchpads, how a launchpad works. So if you're doing a normal pre-sale, is when you finalize, the launchpad checks for liquidity. And if there's already liquidity there, it won't launch. So basically what you have to do if you're raising on multiple launchpads, the pad has to be set up that it won't check for liquidity, that will finalize and just give you all the funds. So that's basically what a partial is. Then a seed or a private round is, I'm sure everyone's familiar with them. Basically, normally in private round, you buy on their website or you send to a random wallet and you hope that it's safe. You might know them, but you still have to kind of hope. Whereas with us, and actually, sorry, then there's the problem about airdrops, because then you have to worry about, am I going to get airdropped on time? Am I going to get airdropped the right amount even? Or maybe people are going to do it too soon and then people will add liquidity. There's a lot of different problems with privates and seed rounds. So if you do one through GemPad, not only can we audit and KYC the person if they're willing to do that, but also you don't have to worry about airdrops because you can claim it like a normal pre-sale. So as soon as they finalize and go live, you'll be able to claim your tokens. You won't have to worry about airdrops. It's the kind of same thing as a pre-sale. The final type of sale we have, which is a favorite one, and it's brand new, is stealth launches. So you're probably wondering, how do you do a stealth launch through Launchpad, and why would you even bother? So 2 answers: safety, and I'm going to tell you how. So how you basically would do it is, yeah. So how you basically do it is they create the sale with one wallet, and then they'll add the tokens with another wallet. And what basically happens is when the project launches, there is a liquidity lock straight away. So on a normal stealth launch, once they launch, they have to go and lock liquidity. And then there's always that, do I wait and see, are they going to lock liquidity and then I'm going to miss the pump, or do I buy in early and risk getting robbed? You don't have to worry about that on GemPad because the liquidity lock is there at launch. We can also KYC and even audit the contract as well before launch, making it even safer. You also have the options of a stealth fair launch, but I don't think anyone's done that just yet. But we will have an explainer up on the Gitbook shortly. I actually only wrote it up today. But we've already had 2 stealth launches. So the first one went 54x, which I think anyone will agree that is huge for a launchpad at the moment. And then the other one, I think just before I went into the AMA launch, and was sitting at 5x, maybe 4 or 5x. So that's quite good, and we feel that it could be a new meta during the kind of summer, or I guess the crypto winter, as you might call it. But we're very excited with that, and I think because we're the only launchpad that offers it, as far as I know anyway, it could be huge for us because we're the only place you can do it. And if it gets popular and it keeps going the way it goes, it will get popular, and that means GemPad will get popular.
Yeah. Like once I'm free, I'm always browsing the AMA lounges, like the Crypto Future Hideout or the Future Lounge, and getting some knowledge. And this time I went through the GemPad and so did the launch, and I was like, wow, like this is something I'm seeing the first time from the Launchpad. So I'm like very excited to see where it takes the whole GemPad and how it utilizes the whole kind of power. Yeah, like this is great. Guys, now let's touch the most important part, especially for the devs or the project owners. And this is, what are the service fees?
Okay, so the main fees are for any of our sales. It is, if it's common tier, it's half a BNB, and we take 2% of the raise. So if you're doing 100 BNB hard cap, for example, we will take 2 BNB from that. And it's just the 1 BNB is the listing. The half BNB is just a listing. For gold or above, we take 1 BNB and 2% of the raise. We had talked about, because platinum and diamond are 1 BNB too, we talked about upping that, but we're not doing that just yet anyway. We were thinking about it, but it's not set in stone that it'll happen either. The other kind of charges we will eventually be charging a BNB for KYC, but it's currently free. It's been free the last 2 months, and it's free this month as well. And it's not decided what it will be next week, but the normal price will be 1 BNB. But yeah, that's pretty much all our service fees that I can think of. Oh, there's also, we also have a token creation portal. But off the top of my head, I'm not entirely sure what the price of that is as well. And you'll be able to go and see that on the website itself.
Yeah, good. And we touch kind of important thing. So if I'm not launching with the GemPad, I am still able to use the services you're offering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Which ones now? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean for the KYC, for example.
Yeah, so if the KYC, we haven't done it just yet, but we have had someone ask us about doing KYCing a project not launching with us. So that is probably going to be a more case-by-case basis. But yeah, we will, at the moment, that would be a 2 BNB for a launch not with us. And we also actually do AMAs. So we host AMAs in our channel. At the moment, it's a BNB for an AMA. But for projects that are platinum or diamond, they get that included. So they get a free AMA.
Got it. Awesome. Maybe right now, let's talk about any possible events or something we can expect from GemPad. Maybe let's talk about, if I was new to GemPad, are there any events on the horizon we can look up for?
There is, but I can't tell you what they are. So basically we have, I'll tell you what we can talk about already because it's already been said in public before. So we will eventually explore NFTs. There's no timeline on them. And we do have a plans to even make an NFT launchpad. Again, there's no timeline, but they were already talked about in public. We will eventually update the alpha club and release that. Again, no timeline, and that's dependent on if we partner with someone or someone does something similar. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, we will also have the DAO voting system will come out. But then there's 3 or 4 things that I'm not talking about that are currently in development that are, as far as I know, there's nothing else out there from a similar type of project. So we're being a launch, but I don't think anyone else is doing it, and they are huge, and I'm really excited for it, and I wish I could tell you all, but I can't.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be so cryptic,
but right now, at least we know, well, there are some horizon. And if I was a holder, well, I can expect something happen, and like from the perspective of development. So this is great. This is great. You are moving forward, and that's important.
Sorry, before we move forward a bit, I just want to say,
go.
That's the thing. We actually have like funds reserved. So the biggest thing with the crash is that people are afraid that we might kind of run out of funds and would stop development. But we actually reserve funds for a few months at least anyway to kind of keep us going. But on top of that, we're still launching, especially even the stealth launches and stuff. So there are funds still coming in, but we do have them locked away for development because we have development plans for like we have enough plans to keep us going for a year or two. So that was one of the biggest things, is that when we had the launchpad out already, people were afraid that, is this, you have released the launchpad, are you happy now? It's like, God, no. Like there's so much stuff on development that like there's so little that's even public. Like I spoke about the NFT and the launchpad and the DAO system, and I'd say like development plans, there's only like 20% of it that's public, and the rest of it is just only talked about in the group and that no one knows about. But it's the most exciting parts as well that no one knows just yet. And that's why I'd love to tell you. I'd love to tell you, but I can't.
Oh man, you are hedging. But all good, all good. Well, we talk about the events in the terms of, or from the perspective of the development, but maybe are there any projects that are getting on your launchpad and that are like hyped and we can look up for? Can we talk about a bit of that?
Yes. So there's yourselves. We're very excited to host yourselves. There will also be Damie, I think is how you pronounce it. We were talking about in the group that we weren't sure how to pronounce it. That one's in 3 days.
Yeah.
And I know Bina is very excited for that one. We also have you see, at the moment we have a lot that have said they will list with us. It's just the market that they're kind of waiting on it. So that's kind of the biggest thing. Also, I don't deal with listings too much, simply because I deal with marketing and development. So a lot of times, like stealth launches, Red, we're talking about for months and months and months. So there's kind of stuff like that. That's why I'm not too up to date with projects. And I don't know too much details about them. I just know that Bean is very excited for that one. There's one I can't talk about that we're in talks with launch with that I'm really excited about, but I can't say who they are. But we will have more stealth launches too. So I know we had 2, as I said already. I feel like I know more about stealths than the normal pre-sales because it was my idea and I was kind of looking for stealths, so that's why I'm kind of more up to date on them. And also I had to tell the rest of the team how they basically work so that they can properly explain it to other projects. But we will have, as I said, we have the 2 stealths. We have another one launching shortly, and then I have one already that reached out to us, said that they're launching with us, and then there's talks of more as well. I feel like the stealth launches could be quite big in this kind of market because, as I said, the other one went 54x, and I'd love to find. I don't think we're going to get a pre-sale doing 54x in one day. Not in this market anyway.
Right. This is kind of a degen question, right? But can we talk maybe about projects and how many X's they've done? So let's spill some of the best projects you've launched.
Green Life Energy, I think is their full name. It's GLE. They did very, very well. That was a funny one actually because the pre-sale didn't actually fill. It only filled the soft cap, but it still went like nearly 10x or something. We also had there was a 15x at the very start. It was like our second ever project. That did very well and then done. But then it was only common tier and it was a bit of a meme play. But still, it was still 15x from pre-sale. We had a very first project, which was Aptitude. That's doing very well. We do usually keep in contact. We have particularly Aptitude because it was our first project and our first diamond. I haven't actually kept up to date in the last like kind of week or two how they were doing. But last I checked, they were doing very well. Even got listed on an exchange as well. But yeah, there's been a few good ones. We had a lot of insta fills. So the thing about GemPad is you can't actually snipe our pre-sales. So you can't send to the pre-sale address. You can't use bots and stuff. We felt because we wanted to make it as fair as possible. So when we talk about it's insta-fill on GemPad, it's not like on other launchpads where it's literally like 3 seconds. On GemPad, it's always like 10, 15, even 30 seconds.
Right.
It's pretty much an insta-fill just because people have to interact with the UI, and that kind of takes them a few more seconds than just sending straight to their pre-sale address.
Great. I mean, you're a launchpad, so I think you are doing pretty well despite the market, and this is like really, really admirable. But let's talk about backers. Let's talk about partnerships. I know you guys have some juicy ones. So like which kind of partnerships you guys already established, and are there any in the pipeline?
Yeah, so we have partnered with a few different VCs and audit companies. We recently partnered with Obsidian, who are probably the premier KYC services in crypto. They're very, very thorough in how they KYC. They KYC full teams and they don't KYC everyone. They only pick projects they think are good. So we're very happy. I'm very big fans of them. I actually pushed for that one myself. I made sure to go out and get it because I just like them so much. Because like they've had, I don't know how, sorry?
Yeah, right. I was just a bit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, so they've KYC'd a good few projects already, and they've had like one rug, and they went and got the funds back from that rug. So they're very, very, very good at what they do. They even have a team that their job is to just go and get the money back. So even for other projects, if a project they didn't KYC rugs, people can actually reach out to them and ask them to actually try and track down the funds, and they take like 5% of what they recover. And it was actually funny. They said in that the one rug they had, they actually got back more than what the guy took. That he was like, here, take more because I feel really bad or whatever. He's just trying to get out of trouble, I presume. But still, it's a funny record to have. But right. We do have talks with more partners, and we're kind of always looking out for more. Like also another project is, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Flues or something. It's their you just go in and see because I can't pronounce it properly. But we also are
just some project,
yeah. No, they're very good. I just can't think how to pronounce it off the top of my head. But they we are constantly looking out for more venture capitals, VCs, because they are kind of key to kind of helping projects fill privates and stuff in this market, because a lot of the ones we're already partnered with are kind of taking a break from investing. And so that's kind of why we're kind of looking out for more, because we'd like to have a good few. So we do have some where we have kind of connections reaching out for us, and we have some things in the pipeline, but a lot of the best partnerships take time.
Right. So this was for the backers and partnerships, which are really, really important for the project longevity, but also to be successful in the space. You need a great community that's supporting the project. And it's been said that if you got some community, you got no future. So guys, how are you approaching the community and the top-down processes in order to make it with the community as well?
Yeah, so the biggest way we have created a strong community is we call ourselves the community's launchpad. And like I kind of touched on it a bit before, but I'll go into a bit more detail. So when me and Red were basically talking for ages on what we wanted to do next, because as I said, he was in charge of development. So, and to be honest, development is my favorite part of it. I love kind of coming up with new things and bringing out new ideas. So that's why I get really excited whenever there's a chance to kind of talk to Red about it. But we were talking, we had like 4 or 5 different things we wanted to build, and he wanted some things, being in Nile and Rainlands, and all wanted other things, and we couldn't decide on what we should do first. We were kind of all disagreeing. Now, we weren't arguing anything, but we just thought this would be better or this would be better. So we said, look, we're never going to decide. Let's let the community decide. So we literally gave them the 4 or 5 suggestions that were the NFT launchpad, stealth launches, a new whitelist system. So it'd be tiered whitelist, alpha club, or the DAO voting system. And we said, it's up to you. We will build whatever you want first. And the stealth launches. Now, we did also sneak in the whitelist tiers. We built them at the same time just because we felt it was needed. But we also encourage criticism. So whether it's something that we've done wrong, something we just don't do, we want you to come and tell us. Or maybe even it's an idea you have. Maybe it's not necessarily criticism, but maybe it's something that you have, or just something that you've come up with, or even something another launchpad does that you think we could adopt. So as I said, an example of that was the emergency withdrawal button. We didn't want to add it, but the community requested it heavily, so we added it. Basically, what happens with that as well is with the emergency withdrawal, there is a 10% penalty. Now, this doesn't go to us or anything. It actually goes to a buyback wallet, which is public. You can go and have a look at it yourself. And once it gets around to about 5 BNB, we do a buyback, and the tokens on that buyback actually get sent to it gets sent to the staking vault. So basically, the emergency withdrawal not only funds buybacks, but it also funds the staking vault. So it's kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. And we felt that was a good idea because we had a lot of requests to involve buybacks into our system because there was no other type of buybacks. So again, maybe 3 birds or 1 stone. But anyway, yeah. So and then eventually, when the DAO voting system comes along, the community will have even more power. Because look, I have a kind of saying that you're only going to go as far as the community takes you. And by literally having them have a say in what's and how it's built, they're going to have the launchpad. And we're going to build a launchpad that a community likes, that the public likes. Because at the end of the day, they're the one using it. They should be the ones that have it how they like it. And so it's little things. So just as an example, for stealth launches, we had someone ask, can we add an alarm? So when someone does a stealth launch, they'll get notified. So you'll be able to click, say if you see a stealth launch, say, oh, I want to see when that launches. You will be able to click the alarm button. You'll get a push notification when it launches. So that's something that we're going to add in an update. But yeah, so there's loads of different kind of little ways and little suggestions they do. And basically every time we get a suggestion, we just put it onto a shared sheet we have amongst the team. And then when kind of Red has time, he kind of will go and look and say, oh, that's a good idea. I'll add that in the next update. Or because we're not going to be able to add everything. Right. That's the important thing, is that we have a lot of requests, and we have a lot of requests to add different things. Some of them we mightn't just get around to just yet, and other ones mightn't make enough sense for us to do it. But we will listen and take a look at every suggestion. And obviously, the more something is suggested, the more of a priority it becomes. Like the emergency withdrawal button, that was so heavily requested that it skipped the queue on a lot of things.
Yeah. And you know what? We kind of touched the thing I really, really love about the GemPad, and the people may not know, and this is the security, and especially your core. Could you introduce like how this works, and how can people complain if some of the projects do something malicious?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. So we have recently created, well, I say recently, it's probably a few weeks old at this stage. We created the GemPad Court of Justice. So this is a separate Telegram that if there's any red flags, so whether it's a pre-sale that's about to say it's going in the next few days, or maybe it's a pre-sale that's actually live or even waiting to finalize. Or maybe it's a project that's launched, that we launched and KYC'd or whatever, and they say, look, it's after rug pulling, or it's going to rug pull, or it's a scam or whatever. That's where you kind of go and tell us, because we wanted to keep the main chat clean. So when we say clean, we just don't want a load of people coming in saying, oh, this is the rug, which, look, they should come and tell us, but it's just kind of nice to kind of keep it in a separate place. So in the GemPad Court of Justice, they'll go in and say, look, there's this pre-sale, it's clearly going to be a rug, I think it should be cancelled. And then our team will go and take a look. If we believe that yes, it should be cancelled, we will then cancel it, obviously, and we'll do a write-up. If we find that whatever the red flags weren't justified, they weren't right for whatever reason, we will also do a write-up and explain our reasoning why. So we've had some already where we've had some people catch pre-sales that we've had to cancel. And again, we've had some where they said it was a rug, but it wasn't really. It wasn't like, say, some people, when a chart just dumps, they would think it's a rug, but it was nothing. The project owner did all they could. It just maybe for whatever reason didn't work out, but there was nothing malicious. So that's the biggest thing, because look, we want your voices to be heard. We don't want there to be everyone panicking, because if there's a pre-sale that everyone's after buying into that's clearly a rug, we want it to be easy for you to come and tell us so that we can cancel it. And eventually that will be, you'll be able to do it yourself as a holder. So our Platinum Plus holders will be able to vote to pause pre-sales and alert us that it's a scam.
Well, I'm just mind blown by that. And well, like the first time I've seen that, I was just like, wow, this is something really different. Like, can you see that kind of approach in some of the other launchpads? Like, no. And you people and the community of ours guys, you can really get on these kind of malicious misconducts of the behavior of those projects that launched on the GemPad. And this is very correct, since the GemPad got the KYC of the project. So this is very important for the security. And if we are talking about security, let's touch some basics. So is the GemPad, I mean, alongside that you are doing the audits, is your token audited?
Yeah, so the token itself is audited by SafeTin. The actual launchpad itself is audited by Interfi, but we are in the process of getting an audit done by Certic. So that's already paid for and in the process. Wow. Yeah, so we're just it's just a waiting game for them. You know, they take their time, but yeah. I suppose that's what makes them so good, because they're so thorough.
Yeah, like same like waiting for a new Apple, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, awesome. So we can see the audits, and now what are your security measures to deal with external and internal threats? And especially where I'm aiming the question is like for the developer team. So a lot of times projects are used to hiring the developers externally, which leads to some really nasty things. So how is the dev team, and like do you know them real life, or what's the story?
So Red handles the dev team entirely. So they are hired and they get paid a wage rather than say normally what happens in crypto. If you want to build a project or launch something, you will probably get recommended someone on Telegram and you'll send them some crypto and that'll be it. At GemPad, we actually have them hired. So they're almost employees but we pay them a wage and to work on development. One of them is particularly in charge of the kind of server security. So that's to keep not only the server up, but to protect people, so to protect your wallets and stuff like that. Speaking of keeping the server up, we got attacked, a cyber attack, the biggest of its kind there a while ago. It was on a Wednesday, and it broke the world record for the biggest attack of its kind, and we were in all kind of news articles. Unfortunately, they didn't actually name us, but it was still kind of cool to have it there. And then the next day we had one 10 times bigger. So we've dealt with our fair share of attacks, and after that we have kind of stopped them. So whoever was doing them has spent a lot of money on them. We've no proof who it was. but we are after improving our security so that we don't really go down again. And to be honest, other than those 2 days, there hasn't been anything too huge. But we're hoping the attacks stop, because whoever it is clearly doesn't care about anyone. They just want what, I don't know what their reasoning is, because as I said, we don't know who it is.
Awesome. Like, this was a really good answer, and this is why I'm touching that in every club, AIMA or AIMAs in general. Like, really, if you see some projects that are that is hiring the devs externally, it leads sometimes to really nice defense. So that's why I'm always asking, and this was a great answer. Let's move to some of the bearishness in the market, and that the space is like very choppy, and especially for the investors. So if I'm an investor, like, what is the revenue model behind GemPad that secures me that there is some kind of a price appreciation?
Yeah, so there's a few different streams of revenue that we have. The main one being itself is the fact that we're a launchpad. So as I said, we kind of touched on fees before, that we get 1 BNB for listings and we get 2% of the raise. We also have other streams of revenue. So, well, sorry, that's for all the launches. So whether it's a stealth, a pre-sale, or whatever. So that's a lot of kind of different ways that we can earn. But we also have advertising on the site. So if you see, there's a feature banner ad, the carousel, so people can pay to kind of promote their projects there. We also, the KYC is currently free, but eventually we will charge for it. So that's another one. We also have, we host AMAs. Now, it is included for the higher tier projects, but some gold projects pay the 1 BNB to hold an AMA in our group. We also, let me think now, there will be more streams of revenue. And as well, there's also obviously the transaction fees. So 3% goes to the production wallet.
Right.
Yeah, that's the main ones at the moment. We will be adding other ones. So whether, if the Alpha Club comes out, there'll be advertising on that. We may also there's talks of you'll be able to kind of buy AMA tours. So you'll be able to kind of pay for AMAs through Alpha Club. But again, that's further down the line.
Right.
I don't want to go into too much detail, because as I said, there's a chance it might even come out, but that's just in our plans. But yeah, we will have more and more different streams of revenue coming out as we kind of grow.
Great. We are heading to the last question. Like, guys, if you are following us through some time, this is my favorite question, and this is the last question I'm always asking. So if we are talking about the GemPad being a launchpad, Morty, why either developers or investors should choose GemPad over the other launchpads? What makes you unique and better?
Okay, so if it's I'll start with investors. So if it's for investors, you have, whether it's your first pre-sale or it's your 1,000 pre-sale, it should be easy to use while still having enough features that makes it good. We feel that our tech and our UI is better than anything else out there. It's faster, it looks better. Now, I'm probably biased, so I'll let everyone make up their own minds and go and check it out. But I do personally feel that ours is miles beyond anything else out there. We also have the fairness of it all. So the fact that people can't use bots, they can't bot pre-sales and stuff like that. You also have stuff like the delay time. So when a project hosts or creates a pre-sale, they have to wait 24 hours before they can launch. This gives not only our team but our community time to investigate the contract and stuff like that. And there's also the alarms. There's loads and loads and loads of different reasons. There's even like the tiers and stuff to make it easier. Even the tiered whitelist system that we brought in should make it better for investors. The way that works is there's tier 1, and they are tier 1 people, like the tier 1 whitelists that are given out, but our holders are also included in tier 1. The project owners can whitelist 50% of the hard cap. So that means if there's a 100 BNB hard cap with 1 BNB max contribution, they can whitelist 50 people. If the max contribution is 2 BNB and the hard cap is still 100 BNB, they can whitelist 25 people. They would have 10 minutes to buy in along with our holders, and then it will go to tier 2. Once it gets to tier 2, any of the tiered whitelist 1, so any tier 1s, they have another chance as well as our holders, so they have 2 chances, which makes being a holder and tier 1 ultra worth it, basically. Then tier 2 have 10 minutes to buy in, and a project owner can whitelist as many tier 2s as you want, but we will encourage them to kind of keep that low to keep it competitive. And then then after 10 minutes, it goes to public. So there's loads of different reasons, and ones I probably haven't even touched on why investors should choose GemPad, but moving on to why project owners could choose GemPad. First of all, we get a lot of discounts with different kind of call channels and stuff like that. In terms of marketing, not only, now as I said, I do marketing for GemPad, I'm also the one that will help our projects market. So I can do that for you as well. So we will help you literally draw plans. And if you want us to actually organize it as well, we charge a small 10% fee for that. So we can do that as well. We also, be it our AMAs, we get, at the moment, we're averaging like somewhere between 140, 108 people, which is all totally organic. We don't bot anything. There's also the cheap fees. We don't take any tokens. So that's a big thing. So we can't dump on the project like other launchpads. And the fees itself are quite low. I don't think there's anyone cheaper than 1BNB or anyone good cheaper than 1BNB and 2% of the raise. And simply just if it's advice. So a lot of times we have project owners where they just need advice. So the team itself, or maybe it's their first project, or maybe they haven't done one in a while and they just want a little bit of advice. We can do that because, as I said, we launch projects like every second day at this stage. And even sometimes we get stuck. Red, obviously being the main developer, he is always there to help. And as I said, I've barely touched the surface of why you pick GemPad. And actually, the last thing I'll say about why you pick GemPad is just the options. So whether you want to do a pre-sale, a fair launch, a partial, a private, a seed, or even a stealth launch, you can do it through GemPad. So basically, if you haven't noticed, what we're trying to do at GemPad is have GemPad for everyone. So whether, as I said, it's your first pre-sale or your 1,000 pre-sale, or it's your first project or your 100th project, GemPad is for you. Whether it's a 10 BNB hard cap stealth launch, or a 1,000 BNB pre-sale, or a 300 BNB fair launch, we want GemPad to be the first place someone wants to launch. And it's the first place they're like, well, I want to do a project, so I'm going to see if I can launch on GemPad. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think we're getting there. It's just, hopefully the market cooperates a bit more.
That's all right. Well, this is for the main part. We'll move toward the community questions. So guys, prepare your questions, raise your hands. And before we do, I want to remind you guys, as always, be sure that you are following all the giveaway rules. Therefore, join the Telegram of the GemPad, follow them on Twitter, and visit the Twitter post we've made earlier. So I can see some of the hands. Before I will allow to speak anyone, be sure you got no questions that are like botted on relevant to projects. And Morty, like if you see some question that is just let's say some not unique, you can just refuse to answer that and go move to another question. And this is my rule for all the AMAs because I don't want that to happen.
Okay.
So as the first one, I've seen Dimas, Kunzi Army, hashtag in his name, raising his arm for some time. So I'm allowing you to speak right now.
Right.
Hello, Dimas.
Hello, Elnan. Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you for
we can hear you.
For asking the question. Yeah. Hello, Morsi. Glad to be having your question here. So GemPad, right? I already following the MA from the start. There are so many or so much explanation about the GemPads, but basically what I'm getting is about the GemPad is basically a launchpad based project, right? So I'm not asking about the token price or whatever tokenomics, because I think it's already completed explanation or very explanationally. So I'm just want to ask. Basically, I'm gonna say about the GemPad. Uh, for a launchpad based project, I think the most important thing is the GemPad is known and having a sustainability in any condition, especially as far as I know, or as far as we know, in a bear market like this current, like the current situation. uh, the most important thing is what kind of plan or any method that the project in this time is GemPad has for maximizing or sustaining the community. I'm saying the community because I think community is the most important aspect on the project. So the maximizing and sustain the community awareness for the GemPad launchpad utilities, or what would be the fund for you? You already mentioned about revenue for the GemPad. What will be the fund from the revenue team that will be used for example, for a marketing or a community event, for example? I think that's it for my question. Sorry for a long question. I think it's because my excitement for this project. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question, first of all, man. So, there's a few kind of different answers to your question. So, first of all, when you're kind of talking about funds in a bear market, so as I kind of said, one of the biggest parts of it is that we have funds reserved for development. So we've kept that separate so that if we were kind of prepared for the market to go bad, just in case. Now, obviously, we couldn't predict it or whatever, but we wanted to be prepared. So we have funds to kind of keep us going for kind of marketing, development, and that kind of thing. And now when it's talking about marketing at the moment, we've done a bit and we do kind of constantly kind of do marketing. However, it's not the main aim at the moment, because a lot of times, a lot of the marketing is just throwing money out the window. So we're only going to do it when it makes sense and when we think we're going to get enough of a return on our investment in that marketing. But the best marketing we can do is just bring in projects. So by getting projects and more launches, that's pretty much free marketing. So that's one of the main ways we're doing it. And as well, like we kind of touched on before, pre-sales are not the best money makers at the moment. Now, there's still some out there that you'll get X's off, and that's why we're still able to keep going. But that's where stealth launches come in. That I feel that in this market, I think stealth launches could be huge, not only for GemPad to bring in revenue to GemPad, but also for our investors. So our community, if they invested in the one, I think maybe 3 days ago, that would have been 54x. So even if you caught it like not all the way up, you still could have got 20x or 10x even, which is great in this market. Most people are delighted in this market at 3 or 4 or 5x. So even the possibility of a 54x is huge for our community. The one there today that went to 5x, I think, at the moment, and I think at the moment it's into 4x. So even though it's a bit quieter for a lot of launchpads out there, not for GemPad, because we'll have still launches and we will have more on the way and kind of be bringing out more and more and more. But yeah, and as I said, not only does that help with the community, but it also helps GemPad because it's just more revenue coming in that we can use to keep development going and stuff like that.
Great. Thank you for the question, Dimas. And we will move to... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I got the key answer for my question, which is the sustainability from the revenue the GemPad team has, and that's quite convincing for investors such as me to adding the GemPad for my watch list. Thank you for the explanation. Good luck with the project.
Thanks for the question, man. Have a good day.
Great. So thank you for asking. And there is another question from Godfather. So I'm allowing you to speak. You should be able to do right now. So hello, and drop your question.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. All good.
Thanks for the opportunity, and great presentation, by the way. You've mentioned a lot of things about GemPad. As I sent into the group, I would like to know that
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if
Yeah, yeah.
if I was gone or he was gone.
Yeah. Now
hello.
now we
Sorry
can
about
hear.
that. Can you hear me
Now
now?
we can hear you. Just repeat the
Okay,
question,
okay.
please.
All right. So on the website, I saw that GemPad has 4 tiers, and the higher the tier, the safer and better a project is. Now my concern is about is what mechanism do you have in place to ensure that only top quality projects are featured on your pad? That's the first question. And the second question is that it's also on the website that GemPad is the first launchpad to offer raising funds in any crypto token. So I want to know more about this. What's how do you qualify projects to get these funds? I don't is my question clear? Do you
Okay.
get that?
Yeah, no. I get what you're asking. Yeah. First of all, again, thanks for the questions. So to go to your first question, you were asking about the tiers. So the whole point of the tiers is to ensure that we can accept all projects. Because the thing with GemPad, if we wanted to, we could kind of just go for the absolute top tier quality projects. But here, GemPad, we're all about providing opportunities for our community. So the tiers are there to kind of make it at a glance that you can see the quality of project. And so basically the GemPad team itself basically decides the requirement or the which kind of tier is going to be on, but we stick to certain requirements and stuff like that. But that means that the lower tier projects aren't going to be as high quality, but people want them there because they want to make up their own minds whether they invest or not. Because at GemPad, look, the only ones we're going to stop are scams. So if we see a project that's a scam, we're not going to let it on. But if the project is maybe just kind of a smaller meme play and it's maybe the guy's first project, if he wants to list on common, that's up to him. And if people want to invest, that's up to him. It's the beauty of crypto, it's choice. So that's why the tiers are there, so that we can have a clear spot for the best projects, but while still providing as many opportunities as we can. Now, moving on to the raising funds in any crypto. So basically how that came about is we had projects asking, could we raise in stables? Originally, we were only allowing to raise in the chain's native token. So this meant on BSC, you can only raise in BNB, and on Ethereum, you could only raise in Ethereum. But then we added stables, so the likes of BSUD and all that. And when we were adding that, Red and Bina realized that they could make it that you could raise in any token. So that means if you want to raise in Bitcoin, you can raise in Bitcoin. If you have a play to earn game and you want to have an in-game currency coin, you can raise for the in-game currency coin in the play to earn token. And that meant that they'd be connected and they'd support each other, and as one goes up, they both go up. Now you're asking about how does a project qualify for that. So it's up to the project. If they want to raise in any coin, it's entirely up to them. They don't have to meet any requirements or pass any kind of tests. However, if the coin doesn't work at all, like as in if it's a really bad liquidity coin that they're trying to raise in or something like that, we will just cancel it if it doesn't work. And also, maybe if we think that it's not the smartest thing to be raising in a certain coin, it might mean that they mightn't stay qualified for diamond. So say if for whatever reason the project was going to be diamond and we were certain it was going to be diamond, but they were picking to raise in a coin that we didn't think was a smart idea, it might mean that they'd be a bit of a lower tier. But again, that's going to be a kind of case by case basis, and I can't say that, if they do this, it's going to be, we're not going to let them. It's kind of up to them, but it's just if we won't work, we'll intervene.
Right.
That's awesome. I got my answer already, especially the first one where you mentioned that there'll be like 6 requirements, because it's important that even though you want to create a like an opportunity for all projects, you still have to consider that the actually best projects are available on your pad. So thanks, and I wish you all the best. Thanks for the opportunity, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for your questions and have a good day.
Thank you for asking as well. Like this was a really intriguing question. This is gonna be the last question we are gonna get answered before the wheel spin, as we are keeping the AMAs, especially informational and not that long, to have a good attention span for the community. So the last question gonna be from the Boljeet Speaks. So I'm allowing you to speak. Hello, can you hear us? Can you talk? Boljeet Speaks. If not, we are gonna head to another question. So this time I'm gonna allow to speak Neo. Neo, you are allowed to speak. Drop your question if you can hear us and if you can talk.
All right. Hello.
Hey,
Hello,
Neo. How's
hello.
it going, man?
Thank you for having me on the VC. And Moti, I want to commend your efforts for coming up with such an amazing project.
Thank you, man.
For a long time, I've been seeing Pixel in the space with some policies that it make do as though there are no alternative for projects to launch their project. So what are the unique features that distinguished you and set you apart for a cutting-edge experience in what you do in this space?
Okay, so you're basically asking me what are the most unique features and the best features about GemPad, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so our main and the best features about us, and one it mightn't even be a feature, but it's the fact we don't take any tokens is quite big, which means that we can't dump on projects. Now we wouldn't anyway, because as I said, we want to actually help projects, but it completely takes us out of our hands, so you don't even have to trust us. We just can't do it. Also, there's some other features. So the My Alarms is quite big, raising funds in any token. There's also the whitelist button, so you have an easy to see whitelist button on any kind of pre-sale that enters in the whitelist. So it means that you can find it at a click of a button. There's also a favorite button, so you can keep all your favorite pre-sales you're looking forward to in one space. There's also a My Contributions thing, so any pre-sale you've contributed to, if you for some reason forget about it and you can't remember which one, you can just go to My Contributions, and all the ones you've bought into will be there. There's many other things. So whether it's the launchpad itself, if you see the progress bar, even something as simple as that, it fills in real time, which is unbelievable to look at in my opinion, because we found that when other launchpads it just kind of jumps, and it just doesn't fill in real time. Also the anti-snipe, so it means that our pre-sales can't be botted. Also the fact that how many different launches we can support, mainly stealth launches being a new thing that no one else supports. So if you want to do a stealth launch through a launchpad, there's only one option to pick. But to be honest, I could probably sit here for hours telling you all about why I like GemPad.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your question, man.
Do you have legal framework to
Sorry?
protect your customers in case if projects rug pull?
Do we have
legal framework?
Do you mean do we have like an insurance or something? Is that what you're asking? Sorry.
In a situation where the owner of the project decided to rug
Mm-hmm.
to steal away the liquidity pool,
Yeah.
do you have a prosecuting system in place to checkmate that, to go after those project owners?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Okay, so yes, so we do. So what we do is we contact whatever country the personal KYC is from, we contact their national police force and we report the crime to them. We also contact Interpol. And that's also one of the reasons why we've partnered up with Obsidian, and because we love how they do it. So if they're investigating a project, like I said, they take 5%. I don't know what stipulations they do to take that 5%, but we can help them. So if one of our projects and they decide they're going to investigate a project at Rug that we KYC, we share the KYC with them, no problem. We are also looking at getting another KYC company that does something similar to them, just because that helps us as well kind of report the crimes. Because that's why as well we don't just release the KYC to the public, because that's kind of like, here's the info, you look after it. We actually go and report it ourselves, and we don't leave it to the community to decide like other places do.
Great.
All right.
All right.
You have a DAO system in place that
Perfect.
helps to improve the delivery of your project, like a kind of feedback system to contribute to the development of your project? Or do you give room for suggestions from your community to improve the operating system and come up with new ideas that can expand the scope of your project?
I'm not sure I get the. Sorry, are you asking how we come up with everything, or I didn't quite catch?
Yeah.
What I mean is, do you give room for feedback, a kind of a DAO system, where your community has the ability to contribute, make suggestions as touching the expansion of the project and new initiatives that can drive the project?
Yeah. So I was kind of talking about it a little bit earlier, but I don't mind kind of recapping very quickly. So if anyone has any feedback or criticism or suggestions or anything whatsoever, just pop into our Telegram and ask us. Even if you want to tag me, like I might get to it in a minute or two, but I will get to it eventually. Just tag me and say, oh, I had this idea, have you thought of doing this? Or I don't like this on the website, have you thought of changing it? I'm not saying that we will act and do every single suggestion, but we will 100% look at it, and as a team we will discuss it. Some of them won't work for whatever reason, that maybe it's just not possible, or sometimes it's not worthwhile, where there's other things in development that have a bigger priority, where we might get to it eventually. And also when you talk about DAO, we will eventually have a DAO. It is in the pipeline, just not quite yet.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for all your questions, man.
Elia, thank you very much for having
Thank you. Thank you for asking as well and speaking up. Like sometimes we are running into some shy listeners, but today is full of questions. We had over 190 questions from you guys. This is massive, and I need to say that I'm very glad that you are all here with us, and we are growing in such a fast pace. Like, it is amazing to see. I think we can sum this great AMA, very informational, full of really amazing times and moments to really remind why GemPad is there to stay, and why GemPad really is the launchpad that many people picks, even in the bear market, which is really, really awesome. And I must say thank you, Morty, for joining us today. This is for the main part of the community questions. We will move toward the wheel spin and pick the winners. So this is the time where you can say last words. I will then stop the recording, and you are free to go to enjoy the rest of the Monday. So once again, thank you for joining us, and this is your time to say either goodbye or last words.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. You're an amazing host, and thank you for all the listeners for putting up with me for the last hour and a half. If you have any questions that we didn't quite answer, feel free to come over to the GemPad Telegram. If you have a project you're thinking of launching, which I don't think there's a project you can there's a way you can launch without being able to launch on GemPad. So if you have a project, whether it's a stealth launch, pre-sale, why don't you come over and have a chat with us? We're not going to have any hard feelings if you talk to us and decide not to launch with us. So just come over and chat to us. And if you have a friend that has a project, maybe you can refer them, because we do have a referral system where you will earn from referring a project. But again, I hope to see you all over in the Telegram, and thanks for having me.
Great. So thank you, Marty, for joining us. We will move to Willspin. I am ending the official recording right now.